Hello, everyone, and welcome to another excerpt from Red Eye Stories. Today's story is called My Son's Cell Phone by Connor Gatchell. Narrated by Red Eye. For your own psychological safety, I recommend that you don't watch this at night. Please enjoy the video. I am a plumber, but on the weekends, I go and mow lawns. Mostly one of a good friend of mine who lives a while away. He has a good job, and he has a big house. And with that house, a ridiculously large lawn. I'm not the only one who's told him this. But he knows that I have the right equipment to handle it. So he offered me $150 to cut it each week. With an offer like that, you would have to be an idiot to say no to that. However, with such a big lawn, I thought it would take an immensely amount of time. So, I thought I would take my son, my 15-year-old son, who's your typical teenage boy, who has his face in his phone 24/7. Surprisingly, he agrees to go on these little trips. Probably because he has nothing better to do or just has no homework over the weekend. Every time we go, he always brings his phone to listen to music or to play a game when we take a break. I can't remember one time when he forgot it. Which brings me to yesterday. My friend had called me that he said that his lawn was growing out of control, that the grass was reaching knee height. I sighed and told him that he was over-exaggerating, but I still complied. Went and got my equipment. When I came back home, I was walking up the stairs to wake my son, and when I touched the door handle, my son came out of the bathroom, fully dressed and ready to go, as if he already knew that we were leaving to work. When we got into the truck, I noticed that he hadn't immediately pulled out his phone. I asked him, "You're not bringing your phone today?" He told me that the charger wasn't working right, that his phone didn't charge the night prior. It was completely dead. I thought that this was strange, not because of his phone dying or his charger not working, but for his vocabulary. The night prior? I thought about it and brushed it off as his vocabulary teacher actually doing her job. The way there, it was silent. He kept looking out the window as if he never stepped out into the world before. With these phones these days, no child truly has. We got to my friend's house and we started working right away. I was using one mower that you could ride on, while my son pushed the other one, the one where you actually have to push it. Every time I saw him, I would always see his mouth moving. He was muttering something to himself. I couldn't make out what it was, and I was becoming more and more worried. thinking something was wrong. During our break, I asked him if everything was really okay. He said, yeah. I asked him about the mumbling, and he just said that he was thinking out loud, which put me back to ease. After the break, I walked back over to the rider, and my phone started to ring. Thinking it was my friend or my wife, I picked it up and saw my son's name glowing across the screen. I was confused and frightened. I looked back over to my son, who was stretching and about to start mowing. Now I was really concerned. I picked it up and said hello.
Hey, Dad. I'm sorry I slept in, but hey, wait. Why didn't you wake me up this morning?
I felt my heart in my throat as the shocking realization sunk in. The person who got into my truck this morning, the person who was in my house this morning, was not my son. As soon as he turned on the mower and had his back towards me, I immediately ran to my truck, leaving everything behind. I was too much in a panic to care right now. I drove off as fast as I could. And 5 minutes later, my phone rang once more. I took it out, and it was my friend's name across the screen. I thought he was asking why I left in such a rush. I answered, then heard my son's voice again, as he said,
Dad, why are you leaving? What's wrong?
"You're not my son, are you?" I said to him.
What are you talking about? Of course I'm your son.
I then said, "Prove it. Tell me something only my son would know." A short pause. Then my son recited the most embarrassing secret that I had told no one but him, and which I refused to let it be known to the world right now. I then said to him, with shame in my voice, "Okay, yeah, you're my son, I'm sorry." I immediately made a U-turn, straight back to my friend's house. There, I saw my friend and my son standing on the porch, with a worried look plastered across both of their faces. I got out of the car, as my son ran full speed into my arms, crying out, "Dad, what happened?" I hugged him, telling him what happened. Then he looked. Fear swooped through my son's eyes. He then told me when he saw me sprinting to the truck, he panicked and thinking something was wrong. But when I didn't wait for him and sped off, he ran into the house asking my friend if I could use his phone. We both smiled and gave another hug to each other. But then we frowned as I recited to him, then the imposter must still be at home. I looked down at my son, whose face was covered in fear more than earlier, and said the words that chilled me to the core and still haunt me to this day. He said, "Dad, isn't Mom home today?" If you like this story, please be sure to subscribe and like. Stay tuned for more videos like this. And please, be safe out there. You never know what or who is watching.